This episode of The Larry Miller Show is brought to you by Blue Apron. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Larry. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals from blueapron.com/Larry. And now, live from Level 5 Productions on the island of Milleronia, it's The Larry Miller Show. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and everyone who really wants a Marine for dinner. Hi, folks, and welcome back to the Larry Miller Show. I'm Larry Miller, but in a way, aren't we all? And boy, oh boy, it's a gorgeous day today. I'm back on the mainland with Colonel Jeff, of course, and we're not on Milleronia today, and you'll know why in just a minute. But it's so gorgeous here on the mainland and in our house, in our recording studio in our house, and Ozzy, the dog, is here on the floor. Where we're making a show. And Maggie, the other one, just ran upstairs to bark at, well, you might think someone coming in or someone casing the joint, as my parents used to say. That was a great parents' phrase. They pick up the phone, it rings, and no one was there, and either one of them would just say, I think someone's casing the joint. And they didn't say it as a joke. That's a phrase from their day. Casing it. And I remember as a kid, I guess, so was that what crooks do? To case a place? I don't know. I guess so. At any rate, Maggie thought someone was casing the joint. And of course, that's the George the Animal Steele Orchestra and the Tabby Steele Dancers, no relation, featuring boy tenor Jim Broderick asking the musical question, after all these years, hasn't anyone even made an offer on that doggy in the window? Well, that's a terrific question, Jim. And, I just want to mention first, by the way, George the Animal Steele just passed away. He was a great wrestler and very popular. And, that's a tough life they lead, They work out so hard and they get banged around so much. And he was 78, Colonel Jeff said. And so God bless you, George, and we wish you well and in all your matches for eternity. And that's the truth. And at any rate, so as far as Jim Broderick's question goes, after all these years, hasn't anyone even made an offer on that doggy in the window? Terrific question. It's a heck of a question. And you know what? Who doesn't know? I smiled, and so did Colonel Jeff. We smiled and laughed hearing that question because, holy mackerel, when was the last time you or I or Colonel Jeff heard that reference to the doggy in the window? And I remembered, and I said to Colonel Jeff, I said, wait, let's see how much is that doggy in the window? The one that's a beautiful hair or something like that. And you know what? He looked it up. And it was written by Bob Merrill, who also wrote Mambo Italiano for Rosemary Clooney, which is a great song, Hey, Mambo Italiano. I can't remember anything else, any of the other French women. And I love Rosemary Clooney. I adore her, and I always will. And he wrote A Carnival, Funny Girl, and Breakfast at Tiffany's. This guy, Bob Merrill, was a great writer, and he wrote Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which was a song. Colonel Jeff remembered the first line. There's a pawn shop on the corner in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then he remembered one more line from the middle of it. She was peaches, she was honey, and she cost me all my money, 'cause a whirl round the town was her dream. That's great. The two of us love all things like that. Good for you, Bob Merrill. How do you like that? And he wrote this one Doggy in the Window for Patty Page in 1952, who had a big hit with it. And the Colonel looked it up, and, well, here it is. How often do you get a chance to hear this? Hear the words. I'm going to recite them for you. And the answer is, you don't. I don't think I've ever heard I didn't know what the second line was. But here it is now, folks. How much is that doggy in the window? The one with the waggly tail. How much is that doggy in the window? I do hope that doggy's for sale. I must make a trip to California and leave my poor sweetheart alone. If he has a dog, he won't be lonesome, and the doggy will have a good home. And then the chorus repeats again. How much is that doggy in the window? The one with the waggly tail. How much is that doggy in the window? I do hope that doggy's for sale. And then there's another verse. I read in the papers there are robbers with flashlights that shine in the dark. My love needs a doggy to protect him and scare them away with one bark. I don't want a bunny or a kitty. I don't want a parrot that talks. I don't want a bowl of little fishies. He can't take a goldfish for a walk. And then the chorus repeats one more time again. And so we will too. Sing with me. How much is that doggy in the window? The one with the waggly tail. How much is that doggy in the window? I do hope that doggy's for sale. Hooray! I mean, I just think that's wonderful that we could look that up. Written in music and lyrics by the great Bob Merrill for Patty Page. And you know what? That's one of the reasons that was a heck of a question, Jim, that after all these years, hasn't anyone even made an offer on that doggy in the window? Good question, and a funny question. But as I just told Colonel Jeff, I think the recitation of those lyrics right now is the best answer I can give you for a heck of a question. Thank you. And by Blue Apron. That's right. I'm about to discover how good Blue Apron is. I am. And they say, and they want me to say, and I'm happy to say, not all ingredients are created equal. Fresh, high-quality ingredients taste better and are better for you. So it's important to know where your food comes from. For less than $10 per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. Blue Apron knows that when you cook with incredible ingredients, you make incredible meals. So they set the highest quality standards for their community of artisanal suppliers. And these are, by the way, family-run farms, fisheries, and ranchers. Whether it's Japanese ramen noodles, wild-caught Alaskan salmon, or heirloom tomatoes, Blue Apron is bringing you the best. Thank you again to Blue Apron for supporting our show. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free. That's pretty good. With free shipping. That's very good. By going to blueapron.com/Larry. And I'll tell you what, folks. Yesterday, I got a big box of Blue Apron food here on the mainland in our house. And I showed it to Colonel Jeff. It's a big box. And my wife took it out this morning just before she went to work and took all the food out there. And it takes a bunch of meals. And it's in the fridge now. It's all wrapped up. And it's sort of like, it looks like a meal for a platoon in World War II. And that's a compliment. I mean, it's big. It's a lot of stuff. So you know what? I'm going to see what it's like. Eileen said this morning, that, hey, well, I'll see what it's like. Maybe tomorrow night, maybe maybe tonight after the show, maybe tomorrow night. And there's something more to tell you about that. Which brings me to my first favorite part of the show, the joke of the week. Well, this is a good joke. It made me and Colonel Jeff laugh. I think even Ozzy laughed. Kind of, you could say, well, it's a dog laugh, but I think he did. He kind of on the floor there, and I think he liked it. Right, Ozzy? So this is a good one. That a fella is playing golf one day, and he's doing all right, not so great, but he's on a course, on a nice course, and he slices a ball off the tee, and it goes right into the woods there off on the side. And well, he's not lazy, so he goes after it into the woods there, and the woods, well, get thicker very quickly, and then suddenly the thick woods, and he's in them, and he just looks up ahead and he sees a witch stirring in a big black pot. And she's got the whole witch thing on, the black hat and the black robes and she's not cackling. She's up there. She's not, that's a little loony. But, he sees the witch and he goes over and says, well, hello, what are you doing there? What are you making? And she says, well, I'm making a potion here. And it's a secret potion, and it's my invention. And he says, what's it for? What does it do? And she says, you drink this potion, and you become the best golfer in the world. And he says, wow, can I have some? May I? Would you please give me some? And she says, well, wait just a second here. She says, there's a catch to it, that yes, you'll become the best golfer in the world, but it will have a dramatic effect on your sex life. And he says, I don't know. And then he thinks for a second, and then he says, you know what? I'd still like to try it. Please give me some right now. And she does, all right. And she hands him, she pours with the ladle there. She reaches in and pours it into a cup for him. And he drinks it down. Tastes pretty good, too. And he says, thank you. And if you had a hat, he'd tip it to her. So he walks back out onto the golf course and finishes his round of golf better than he's ever played in his life. He plays beautifully, and the potion had worked. And he finishes it. The friends he's with say, that was amazing. And he's really happy. Folks, comes back the next day just to play the golf pro at that course. They go out together. He kills him. He slaughters him. He's playing so well. It doesn't stop there. For the next year, he goes all over the United States, all over the world, playing golf on different courses, wins every time. He's just the greatest golfer in the history of the game. And he's thrilled. And he comes back just to take a look at the original course he played there where he met the witch. He comes back and he goes out and he plays, but he doesn't even quite care. He just gets to where the woods started again, and he walks back in, and sure enough, the witch is still there, and she's sitting in a chair, a lawn chair, by the way. He's not stirring anything. She's just reading a magazine, doing a crossword puzzle, and she says, well, get a load of you. Hello there. And he says, how are you? It's very nice to see you. And she said, well, what's happened since you had the potion? He said, I'll tell you what, I am the best golfer I've ever been. It really did something for me. And plus, I've been traveling all over the United States, all over the world, playing golf. No one beats me. I'm just astonished. And she says, well, that's pretty good. And then she kind of cocks an eye at him and says, and how's your sex life? And he says, well, actually, it's fine. And she says, wait a minute, it can't be just fine. It always has a very weird effect on the sex life. And, well, how much do you have sex these days? And he says, oh, well, 3 or 4 times a year. And she says, oh, that's terrible. 3 or 4 times a year. And he says, well, for a priest from a small parish, that's pretty good. And that's a pretty good joke, isn't it? We didn't see that coming at all, and I hope you liked it too. We did very much. And by the way, that joke was sent in by Tabby Steele, who ran the dancers today. She's a listener, and thank you, Tabby. It's a terrific joke. She's no relation to George the Animal Steele, but you know what? Maybe in some way she is. So thank you, Tabby. And that brings me to my second favorite part of the show, the Poetry Corner. It's so beautiful here today, I don't even mind that guy coughing. Sometimes I get a little annoyed at it, but no. Cough all you want, buddy. This is a lovely poem called To a Waterfowl, written by William Cullen Bryant, who was an American poet, lived from 1794 to 1878. That's an interesting man. He walked 7 miles to work every day, and one day saw a single bird on the horizon and was so moved he wrote this, To a Waterfowl by William Cullen Bryant. Whither, midst falling dew, while glow the heavens with the last steps of day, far through their rosy depths dost thou pursue thy solitary way? Vainly the fowler's eye might mark thy distant flight to do thee wrong, as darkly seen against the crimson sky thy figure floats along. Seekest thou the plashy brink of weedy lake, or marge of river wide, or where the rocking billows rise and sing on the chafed ocean side? There is a power whose care teaches thy way along that pathless coast, the desert and illimitable air, lone wandering but not lost. All day thy wings have fanned at that far height the cold, thin atmosphere, yet stoop not, weary, to the welcome land, though the dark night is near. And soon that toil shall end. Soon shalt thou find a summer home and rest, and scream among thy fellows, reeds shall bend, soon o'er thy sheltered nest. Thou art gone, the abyss of heaven hath swallowed up thy form, yet on my heart deeply has sunk the lesson thou hast given, and shall not soon depart. He who from zone to zone guides through the boundless sky thy certain flight, in the long way that I must tread alone, will lead my steps aright. Isn't that lovely? That's a nice, and that was a fellow who really knew words, really knew how to use his words. William Cullen Bryant, and the poem To a Waterfowl. And boy, I just want to say, and he lived 1794 to 1878, I went to college with Cullen Bryant, my friend. We were always good friends, and he's, talk about brilliant, I think now he's still the editor, the managing editor of The Atlantic, the magazine, but he's run so many things, and he's just brilliant. He's great, and I love the guy. And I just saw him at our reunion about 1.5 years ago, and, well, come on, Cullen Bryant, doesn't that have to be, I'm going to ask him, but, doesn't that have to be related to William Cullen Bryant? And his dad, by the way, was a great cartoonist, and a very talented family. And in any case, that's sure a good example of it in that poem, To a Waterfowl by William Cullen Bryant. And that brings me to my third favorite part of the show, MMM, Triple M, the Magic Movie Moment. Well, you know what, folks? This is a good one. There are so many good movies out there. I love talking about them. As much as I love reading a good poem and telling the joke of the week, which remember had that punchline. Well, for a priest from a small parish, that's pretty good. It's a good joke. In any case, this is a terrific movie. It's called The Road to Morocco from 1942, starring Bob Hope and Bing Crosby and Dorothy Lamour and Anthony Quinn and so many other great actors in it. And yes, I've said it before, but it deserves to be heard again. Bob Hope and Bing Crosby and Dorothy Lamour, too. Good Lord, they're all so good. Hope and Crosby together making all their road pictures. They're wonderful. If you haven't seen The Road to Morocco, see it. It's great. It's got all their elements in it. And you'll laugh out loud, too. It's a very, very good movie. And by the way, the magic movie moment for today is that bad guy, Anthony Quinn, and he was a great actor, too. God bless him. He was just terrific. But he did play a terrific bad guy. And they're in the desert, so he plays the Sheik, the bad guy. And he's marrying Dorothy Lamour. And they're that's what's that's what's going to happen. But Hope and Crosby, after some things happen and they escape from this and they get caught doing that, but they sneak into the wedding tent to ruin things and prevent the wedding from happening because she's fallen in love with Bing Crosby and he's fallen in love with her. And so how do they ruin the wedding in the tent there? Well, they poke holes in the drinking mug of the other big bad guy and the big Sheik, and the two guys are very, very mad at each other, and but he came to the wedding, and that's not all they did though. Hope and Crosby, they put gunpowder in the cigarettes, and then set the Sheik's clothes on fire. They always, it's fun. All the steps they take are always just so funny. And the enraged Sheik, now, of course, he's very mad. Now he declares war. And then Hope and Crosby collapse the tent on everybody. That's the cherry on top. So then when they're finally done, well, Hope, Crosby, Lamour, and Bob Hope's harem girl, who fell in love with him, and they all escape, the four of them, and they get on a giant luxury liner bound for the United States. And I love plots like this, by the way. I really do. I hope you do, too. There are great movies that are deep and dramatic and take your heart and soul away, and they're wonderful. I'm thrilled they're here. But you can't beat Bob Hope and Bing Crosby and the great Dorothy Lamour. She was wonderful in everything they did together. And you can't beat her. And by the way, when they get on the luxury liner at the end, bound for the United States, well, that's a terrific ending, isn't it? Not exactly, because as they're on the luxury liner, Bob Hope, or Orville in the movie, Bob Hope decides to have a cigarette. So he lights a cigarette, and of course you and I see it's one of the cigarettes from the wedding that they sabotaged. So he goes into, to relax and go to the bathroom. And it says, it's the powder room anyway. It's where women go to fix their makeup there. But that's not the kind of powder room it is. It's full of explosives on the ship. And of course, the thing it explodes. The whole ship explodes and sinks. And Bob and Bing and Dorothy, and I'm so sorry, I can't remember the harem girl's name, the actress who played it. Might have been Yvonne DiCarlo, but in any case, and boy, she's great. But in any case, they cling to a raft and they float to New York City, which is not a bad way to get there. But in any case, it's a terrific movie, folks. The Road to Morocco, with Bob Hope and Bing Crosby and Dorothy Lamour and Anthony Quinn and a bunch of other terrific folks. And if you haven't seen it, you know what? See it now. And if you have seen it 50 times like me, boy, you won't be sorry to see it again. And I love people who work on things well like that. By the way, we work hard on this show, on our show. Colonel Jeff and I work hard on the prep time we put in, and we proved it today. When Colonel Jeff came over, we spent the first half hour on a link called The 15 Hottest Babes from Star Trek. Now, I know that sounds like a stupid thing to click, but, I don't know about you, but I can't pass a file like that or an app. I don't know what the exact words are. You know that from listening to the show. But you know what? It's terrific. I'm a big Star Trek fan. And how do you pass something where the name is The 15 Hottest Babes from Star Trek? Because they did. I was a kid at the time, but they had some beautiful women on that show there. And so adult guys, I guess, could watch the show and see the beautiful women and say, boy, yowza, or yikes, or holy mackerel. Well, those are the things I say. But I mean, and even as a kid now, you can look at them now. They're very, very pretty. They're beautiful, in fact. In fact, the first they had one up there. Number one was someone I've mentioned before, Susan Oliver, as well as Vina, who's the, she's one of the powerful, they are on the planet Kelvin, I think it is. And I love this about the women they made for Star Trek. It just screams 1966. And the reason is, that's a compliment too, because, that Vina, you see, has no ability to connect with Captain Kirk emotionally, but she wants to experiment sexually with him. So her kisses then are missing something, but, Kirk teaches her how for the rest of their time together. And then it says she dies at the end. And the Colonel and I had to laugh because, well, for 1966, that's kind of perfect for every guy between, 25 and 55, isn't it? Or 85. That's the way men would think that, wow, she's gorgeous, and I get to spend sort of like a long holiday weekend with her, like a 3 or 4 day thing, and she doesn't know how to connect emotionally to me, so she doesn't need me to connect emotionally to her, but she loves sex, and so I can teach her what I like, and we spend a lot of time together, and then she dies. Well, says the average guy in 1966, sounds good to me. I'm looking for a problem, but I don't see it. And at any rate, though, you know what? It's a great file. And God bless them all. Susan Oliver, by the way, Susan Oliver played Vina. And she came back for a couple of episodes in that because it was the first one. She was the green-skinned harem dancer that has just stolen and occupied my dreams since I was 9 when it came out. But she's, just beautiful, and she can really dance. And it was one scene in the show where she, as an illusionist, which is their word for her, that she transported, William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy and all the other guys who always go down to the planet, except, of course, for the one guy named Johnson who gets killed more or less in 10 seconds when they land. We've laughed at that before here. I mean, I've seen that, and you have too. So he's wearing a red shirt, and Kirk will just say, all right, Spock, Bones, and Scotty, come on down. We're all going down to the planet together. And hey, you too, Johnson. You come down with us. Yes, sir, Captain Kirk. Johnson. It's just some guy on the ship who's standing there, and it never bothers to say, do I have to, sir? Because I'm not long for the world then. I mean, I got the red shirt on and my name is Johnson. Come on. I mean, I'm gone. As soon as we materialize there, that'll be it. But, you know what? It's wonderful to see things like that. I love it. And yes, I do I have to open those when they, say they're there was one, the 50 iconic bikini models from all of Hollywood movies. How do you not open that? I'm sorry, man, woman. I mean, don't you at least want to see that? My answer is yes, I do. And, so even though you may be watching in the middle column there on the internet, you may be looking at, oh, well, a friend got a part in a movie, or so-and-so is writing about this or that issue or something or other. But then my eye keeps just shooting over, not all the time, just every 4 seconds, to, well, another one of the columns was gorgeous butts from Hollywood. Come on! I want to yell, stop it, at the computer. But I don't. I just open it instead, and then I tell myself to stop it. And I mentioned at the beginning of the show who wants to have a Marine over for dinner, because my older boy, as I mentioned last week, is a Marine who just came back from the Middle East. He was deployed there, and he and the rest of his company are back. And it was very meaningful to go down and get him, and my wife was still upset because she had to work that day, so I went down with my other son, and very meaningful for us. And we took the picture, as you know, we had our little American flags that they'll give you there, that the Marines give you on base there. It was really something. And he had some things to do. As soon as he got back, he had to be debriefed, and that takes, I just say that word casually as if I say all these official things a lot. But he did that for a handful of days. And then something else that was very official, since he just turned 21, just a few days from coming home, and just a few days before that. And he and a couple of his other friends, Marine friends, who also just turned 21 too. I know this sounds like danger, Will Robinson. But you know what? That's good. They're all terrific. So they all turned, they got back safely, even though now they're all over 21. And because they had plans to go snowboarding at Mammoth here in California. And just the three or four of them. And they got back safely back to base. And they had a good time. And as I said, now they're all over 21. And well, they realized they didn't have to spend the whole time snowboarding. I mean, they could take their Marine bodies down to the bar in the hotel, in the lodge, and see which recent divorcees had a yearning for some burning. By the way, I told Colonel Jeff, I just wrote that, and I don't even know what it means. When you try to rhyme something like this, desire for fire. I honestly don't know how the head comes up with those. But it does, not just my head, probably yours too. I mean, but they realized, well, hey, a few drinks, a few divorcees who want to see a few tattoos. What's wrong with that? And in any case, he's coming home, and he's taking the train up. And Alina's long days at work. They're shooting episodes on her show, KC Undercover. And those are long days. And she doesn't need to go down to the train station at 10 at night at that point. And so I said to her, you know what, just hang out here, and you and our other son and the doggies can wait for us to get back. She hasn't seen him yet since he got back. And so when I pick him up, so I'm going to bring him back home here so Mommy can hug and kiss him for 35 hours. And because, again, she hasn't seen him yet. He's probably seen his girlfriend, or as my wife calls her, his girlfriend. And by the way, she likes her a lot. She's always liked her. But the girlfriend, shouldn't Mom see the son before the girlfriend? I mean, that's the kind of logic there. And so in any case, he's, God bless him, he's 21, he's 6'1", full of muscles, gorgeous, and he's a Marine. Any women out there need more than that for a good reason to kiss him? In any case, and In fact, my wife's birthday is coming up, and my two sons had an idea to surprise her, both of them, now that the older boy is back. And their idea was we make reservations at a local restaurant here, and that they tell her, or that my son, the Marine, would tell her that I can't get down, right now anyway. I'm just going to have to be next week. And then the idea was that they would surprise her, that he would be there in his dress uniform, and that she and I and the other son and maybe a friend of hers, Susie and Amber, would come out with us too. They're good friends, all of them, and that he would, just 5 minutes after we sat down and got a cocktail, that he would tiptoe out from the back there, and I could say something to him, sort of like, excuse me, can we please get some bread on the table here? I mean, you don't take care of us here. It's my wife's birthday. And, but behind her back, so that he could answer me, and in some, maybe put an accent on or kid around or just use his voice. And I know that she would have just, stood up almost shaking and just hugged him. And that would have been a great way for, them to see each other again. But the truth is, I said, you know what? I don't want to, it might break her heart again just to set that surprise up. And Colonel Jeff agreed with me, that sure, a surprise like that would be great, but to wait another 3 or 4 days, and when they could have been together, and I didn't want to hurt her feelings again, or that she would have to think, wow, it's great to see you, but what, you mean he was down there free for 4 days and could have come up, and you know what, that's the truth. So I said that to them, why don't we just play it straight, and you'll come up on the train and I'll pick you up, and Mommy can be there just waiting to hug you. And folks, you know what? I know that to be good. I know that to be true. And so do you, because we know the same things. We know that Homer is Homer and Pluto is a planet. And so remember, folks, as always, if you walked out of bed today and had a job to go to and a home to come back to and someone there who cares about you, folks, the game's over and you've won. Be well and support anyone who comes home after serving like that. And we'll see you next time.